I'm very grateful to be participating in AI Native Workplace Summit 2025. And today's my session is on Civic Agent, the rise of AI in modern public service. This is my third session on this topic. I spoke earlier last week as well on this topic in Minneapolis, and it was very well received. That reminded me how important it is to have a modern public services. Um, Before I start the session, real quick background. I'm founder and CEO of a company called Ignatiuz. We've been working with private as well as public sector for past 12 years now. And earlier this year, we launched a tech for gov.ai. It's the AI-based solution which we built for the government and based out of Philadelphia in US and primarily focused on US government, but you will see in some of the slides that how it can be useful and meaningful for other countries and regions as well. That being said, my journey with AI, this is a screenshot from TechCrunch, which was the good publishing media house back in 2013. It was taken, the first company you see is cow photo at the top. We got funded. This is when we were doing visual intelligence for runners, meaning we were storing the bib numbers of the running runners as well as the face demographics, and based on the 7 facial points, we were mapping the face with the bib number. So after the race, you could download the pictures based on either the faces or the bib numbers. That was called back then OpenCV as well as visual intelligence. Now it is called artificial intelligence. And this is where I got exposed to AI for the first time. And I did not know that I'm working upon AI in 2013. We got funded with Start Garden. The company had and then we continue to host this platform, and currently you could actually upload the race pictures and we can put all this thing together. Quickly before I start on the session, I asked this question to ChatGPT: is AI an existential threat or an exponential opportunity? And the answer was yes. So AI is nothing but the reflection of what we would like to build, and what we define is where the AI will reflect to us. So is it an exponential opportunity? Yes, 100% agree. What I do in my day work is AI. What I work upon in the night is AI. So I can definitely see that it's exponential opportunity. But would there be any bad actor to make it a threat? Yes, of course. It's a reflection of what you want to do with AI. That being said, I ran this survey on WhatsApp for my family and friends, as well as on LinkedIn, as well as on some other outlets. And I would just say if anybody has any thoughts on this, who should go first? Would it be a fire engine, a president's car, ambulance, or a police car? Anybody want to raise hands, or if anybody feel that this would be a fire engine?
Add your thoughts in the chat box.
If or want to raise hand if anybody feels like the fire engine should be going first. Or so when I ran this survey, there was a very various different responses which we received based on the country geographic location where you were based out of, and I was surprised to see the results. But it is about 50% people talked about ambulance and 33% fire engine. There were a few folks for president's car as well as for police car. But when I asked the same question to ChatGPT, and I did the same experiment with Copilot, I did the same experiment with Gemini, the answer was similar, that none of these vehicles had emergency lights on. So it would be more of a first come and first go cross section. That being said, I jump on why you should care. Even if you're not in government, why should you care for the public services? It's not just about government who's responsible for modernizing their platform. It's all of us who are involved, the residents, constituents, businesses, everybody get affected. If the local government is working efficiently, it helps the entire town, the entire county to uplift. If state does well, agencies are doing well, it can uplift the entire state. So it is not just something which affects government. It's our day-to-day life, and this is where we feel like having this bad systems is not just public sector's responsibility; is our problem as well. And how can we bring this? How can we modernize this with AI? How can we bring this boring stuff into a more playful way? So before I move forward on some of these real-time use cases, I just wanted to give a quick background on what Microsoft Copilot is and what type of different flavors we have here in Microsoft. So for example, there are three categories which I define in terms of the how you build these AI agents. The first foremost is Copilot Studio, which is a studio where you can build these agents. Second is Microsoft 365 Copilot, which is largely focused on content generation, as well as productivity around Microsoft 365 application ecosystem. And then there is Microsoft Copilot, which is more for natural language processing, meaning content generation, workflow automation. So these are the three different categories, and you will hear some of these words as the session goes on. Again, these are some slides I met few folks, and I realized that everybody feels like the AI has come in 2023 September, or which is not when it is started. Yes, ChatGPT was launched, but Microsoft Copilot been around since 2015. There were multiple of these features which was present. Copilot wasn't doing natural language processing. It was not generating content, but the Copilot branding existed, and there was more used to consolidate some of these Power Platform applications and build some workflows and automation on top. So in 2021 is when the first OpenAI powered Copilot was launched, believe it or not, and there was GPT-3 that back then, which was being used. Since then, we have seen a lot of this transformation. Bing Chat was launched in 2023. Then we have Copilot announcement official on March 16, and currently we are at a place where Copilot is officially integrated with GPT-5. Now, what does it does for the automation and for Microsoft ecosystem in general? So it helps building these RAG agents, which can be part of your Microsoft tenancy. So it has access to your Microsoft platform applications, Power Platform, Power Automate, your connected data services. You can build this cohesive experience out of these agents, since they have access to OpenAI ChatGPT 5 model. So before we go into RAG agents, I just want to give a quick overview. What is RAG and why it is getting so much hyped up? Because AI existed 20 years ago. Weather department was using AI for decades now. But what happened? What transformation happened with ChatGPT is when this retrieval augmented generation happened, when you can now start generating some content, some meaningful context can be brought in through a chat. That's where this transformation started happening, and it became a household discussion now. From dining room to boardroom, everybody talking about AI and ChatGPT and Gemini and co-pilots of the world. So user ask a question, instead of doing a search or putting a keyword-based results out, you get to do a LLM smart search. This large language model looks up the data, which is a large data lake where the data comes from. And then based on the query, it gives you back the relevant information. It's as simple as that. So everybody use Google. It's very similar to Google search. It's just that there is a different mechanism in terms of querying the data and the way relevant information comes back. That is where the NLP kicks in. And then based on the LLM, what the questions being asked by the user, plus the contextual response which you receive, you get an enriched answer. This is what the RAG is. And this RAG model is what transformed how we utilize AI and how AI became word of a household. Now, why it is related to Civic Agents, what RAG is doing. So what we are doing with Civic Agents is that we don't just need information. That is the first step, of course, and I'll show you some demos there. But beyond that, you need an agentic process to happen. Some of these autonomous agents needs to perform certain tasks autonomously without being without having these conditions about if do then do this, having traditional workflows of if this then do this. There is a meaningful way where you could actually perform tasks autonomously and keeping human in loop. But for that, you need an agentic RAG, meaning the agent should work autonomously on that. How that works is now we move to a agentic discussion where you add agentic RAG and LLM Smart Search get added with where agents break down the task and make it into bits and pieces where then it can become into subtask. Now, instead of just retrieving that information, the data is still there. This large data lake is still being getting queried. You are still getting some relevant information back, but now you're getting into a subtask, into sub small pieces. And then agent executes based on the API connection, based on your connection with your data, Azure data lake, or connected data services to talk to Salesforce instance, for example. You build those APIs and tools into this agent, and that agent brings the right value back to the user. Now, instead of just providing a context-driven answer, this validates the automation, and then the agent also evaluated the response and refined the response for you. And you will see some of these agentic agents, how we are doing and how it is being affected to public services. So what are civic agents? So civic agents are these agentic RAG agents, which has a meaningful a task, a job to do, and they run autonomously. They keep humans in loop. They are your AI-powered teammates. These are your digital colleagues. This is your teammates who perform certain tasks and report back to you. And how it does it, that it try to remove the frictions and the repetitive jobs, and there are certain areas where permit approvals can be automated. So some of these tasks happens there. And we'll see in some of the demos coming up. Any questions? Please feel free to raise hands and see if there is anything I could help. So what we talked about, we discussed about RAG model, we talked about agentic RAG, and we talked about the evolution of Copilot and how Copilot Studio, when the Copilot was launched. So now this is a slide where I would explain how we start with Copilot, where it is more of a user and prompt specific, meaning user will ask a question and a large language model will refine it and give you back a meaningful response. So it's more of a contextual driven interaction. What happens next is that when you add certain specific knowledge to this agent. So in this case, it's a website knowledge. So I'll show you a demo where we will connect a website in Copilot Studio as a knowledge. And now, or you could connect an SOP, a PDF document, but now you are interacting with this knowledge. And it's a RAG agent. So meaning you will, instead of going through or navigating the entire website, you will ask a very specific question and you will get a very specific answer back. Now, while you're doing it, Microsoft Copilot and Microsoft Purview combined together can help you in terms of governing the entire interaction. So now you know what is being asked and how AI responded. To avoid any hallucination, to avoid any wrong information going out, you can establish a governance framework around it. What gets more interesting is when you go to the next level, when you are not integrating just a website, you are defining a SQL database or Postgres or any of the database into it, plus adding a custom data source. Now, this custom data source can be any of your ERP solutions, your permit solution, and on top of that, this agent is agentic RAG. It gets its memory. So now this agent knows what was asked earlier, can respond to you back in a very contextual way where I know that what question was asked already. Then you have different tools. So I spoke about custom data source. Now you could add additional tools to this custom data source. This RAG agent, which is now getting transformed into being an agentic RAG agent, have access to different tools. Everything is going to large language model. And this large language model is storing a context inside a memory. So now this agent has a memory. Now these tools can be anything. These tools can be Salesforce, Granicus, I just use because in US there are a lot of websites in public sector being built by Granicus. So ArcGIS, you have a GIS data, shapefiles, Oracle database, SQL, Microsoft Outlook, SharePoint. You could add all of this as a custom data source. And now, since we have Copilot and Purview in the mix, you could actually uh, provide some governance to it. So it's not just while you are building and having this custom data source being added as a tool set, you are actually building a governance layer, and so you can see everything in Microsoft Purview, and you can define the guardrails that, okay, my Purview is taking care of my exposure to data. What happens next is, which is where we call it next gen civic agents. So this is a journey of a civic agent. Now, when you are talking about Copilot, it's very specific to what you do, what question you ask, the answer you receive. When you go to the next level, you build these knowledge agents. Now, knowledge agents can have a custom data source. When you go to the next, you're building this insight agent, which has custom data sources as well as tools. Now, what makes it more exciting is when you talk about civic agents, where these civic agents are independent in nature, has agentic RAG on top, and keeping humans in loop and working as a digital colleague for you, where you share a topic with them, and this topic is being utilized to build their daily work routine. And then these work routine, now this agent is connected with Salesforce and provides information to large language model, and user is still interacting. There is still prompt and response going on. So this agentic RAG is also keeping human in loop. Same thing with Microsoft Dynamics. Now this custom tool can be Microsoft Dynamics. So now instead of having this just the set of tools which are interacting and as a data source, now you are building a complete agent who is a subject matter expert in Salesforce, what in your domain, and you are building an agent which is SME and talking to large language model. Dynamics, same thing. So you build Microsoft Dynamics using finance and operations. You can connect. You can have this Dynamics can have its own knowledge. It can have its own tools. Can have Salesforce has its own agent force, so you can utilize the AI capabilities for Salesforce have to provide. Then you build this knowledge tool in SharePoint. You can connect with the same Copilot with with SharePoint as well. What makes it more exciting? When instead of just everything going back to large language model, now you are writing it back in the specific tools, and that is where you use the agents. So now the arrows are going back. So till here we saw that everything was coming to large language model, and large language model is still interacting with the user. But now here, this agent is actually performing actions and putting the information back in SharePoint or back in Salesforce. So now I see my customer complaint has come through, and the complaint was registered online, and that was a customer facing information which went into Salesforce. My agent got that information. My user or my public works department is taking care of those requests. Pothole was fixed, for example, and then it goes back in Salesforce and updated. So user now, while interacting with large language model, writing a prompt can type in that, okay, fix this record in Salesforce, enter that this address, this block and lot, the pothole is being fixed. So that's where the true civic agents or agentic RAG agents come into mix. Any questions before we see some demos here? Okay, great. So yeah, I'll go next. Maybe you open up my few demos here and so this is Copilot Studio, and I have built some agents which is already ready and to be demoed here, but I'll show you this Brooklyn Park. This was the session I had last week, but so this agent was built a few days back, but it took me like less than 2 minutes. I can show you that how it has been built. It's pretty straightforward. I added a knowledge, and in this case, the knowledge is just for the Brooklyn Park website, so that it's a public website. I'm just taking information from the public website to be part of this agent knowledge. So now the agent only knows what is on the Brooklyn Park website. Okay, and there is a and what we did while working upon this tool made sure that this agent do not have any access to any other public facing websites or any other agent. So it's strictly that there is no web search enabled to this. So this agent is only have access to Brooklyn Park. Now, if a good example here, let me ask this again. So here I ask Brooklyn Park, um, can I, how to get a building permit? So I asked one question, how to get a building permit, and I got this response back. I keep this question handy actually. Okay. That permit process and information, other building permits, is a permit required? I mean, I got bunch of results, and I'm sure that if I go deeper in the links, I was be able to locate the exact information what I need. But here for to this agent, which is a co-pilot agent, I'll ask the same question: how to get a building permit. And so it starts, it loads in the background is you see the logs coming in, and so yeah, so I'm asking the specific question, and it is asking me type of assistant, um, permit, building a deck, yes, permit. So now it will respond me back something not right. Let me quickly create one. Yeah, it would be a good one actually. So yes, include Redmond. Okay. Wait, maybe let me quickly jump on the live agent. So we have this town, South Palm River, New Jersey, where we have agent live, and I'm not sure with the Copilot. I think there's something not going right. But okay, so here in South Palm River, if I ask, for example, skip the English, um, how can I get building permit? So I'm asking a specific question and it gives me very specific answer. While this is happening, I continue to review what is going on with my Copilot agent. Perhaps it's in the debug mode, and but yeah. So here you get this response back. You asked a very specific question: how can I get a building permit? You get this. Okay, contact the zoning office for this. Zoning permit application can be found, or reach out to municipal clerk. So So meaning now instead of getting those different custom search results, you are asking a very specific question and you're getting a very specific answer along with the reasoning where you can reach out to the building department for certain thing, what would be the fees and how to submit the documentation. Now imagine the same source of truth, which is in English currently in the website. I could actually change the language and make it Spanish. And I ask which was very popular question back in June of this year in the United States, at least. Can I keep chickens as a pet in my backyard? And now I'm asking a question, which is where the would like to know more information. If and since I selected the language as Spanish, it will generate this large language model will convert the text from English to Spanish and respond me back in Spanish. So, so this is where you ask question and you get the response back in the Spanish language. So this is where this is a very basic RAG agent model where you could actually bring this public website information in a very contextual way. Now, can you ask this same question to ChatGPT? Of course, ChatGPT, you can do the same similar concept where you can ask ChatGPT or Copilot that tell me about this for southtownsaver.org, and it will bring the information back to you. But then there is no governance. There is no way for you to find out that what interaction happened through the chat. Any questions so far on this? I'm on the side. I'm checking for what happened with the Copilot agent, but this is the agent which I show you is publicly published, deployed in production, but it's a similar agent. Now, journey to the frontier firm. This trend index was published by Microsoft earlier this year, and what it's says is that how we see these agents coming along, meaning we will have in the first phase we are expecting this human with assistant, meaning there would be a human along with one agent. And every employee has an AI assistant. It could be in some shape or form with a Copilot, knowledge agent, leveraging certain SOPs, or in a private sector, in the life sciences, in pharmaceutical, you will have something with a domain-specific agent, which will talk about your best practices, your standard operating procedures. In phase two, we're talking about where you are having multiple of these digital colleagues. So one person is responsible for finance, one person responsible for SOP, one person responsible for back office. So then these agents are actually collectively becoming a digital colleague for you and doing a very specific predefined task and reporting back to you. So that's how you keep human in loop. Phase three, where we believe that instead of just working in silos, these agents will collaborate. This agent will work hand in hand with humans. And there would be, which I showed in the previous diagram also, that you will have agent to agent kind of a communication. So we saw just now the demo of this a chatbot, which is where it's a RAG agent and talking to a website as a knowledge. So, but this is a very one specific task which is doing. But when we have multiple of these agents involved and you're doing agent to agent communication, and that's where the real magic happens, because now these agents are talking to each other, getting the task done for you and reporting it back to you. So, and this is a slide completely taken from Microsoft Trend Index for annual report earlier this year, and I think it's good to have that kind of a perception that how this agentic world is evolving. Quick. So where these civic agents work. So what we saw from a RAG agent standpoint, it is not just for local government. Yes, it works and it is being accepted widely, but we are seeing a lot more traction in schools, hospitals, utilities, nonprofits, and this can provide so much more efficiency and bring so much more value to the existing team, where you could actually build some and save some time and have more faster response to your customers. In this public sector case, this is your constituents, your businesses. In private sector, this is your business users or your product users. The problem: too many requests, too few people. Yeah, there's always this constraint, it's especially in local government where there are less people, and more work in terms of email, staff burnout, citizens, residents, customers frustrated. There's a lot of social media out there where people complaining on Facebook about the town trash timing, the the tree fallen on the road. There's always is something where there's a lot of frustration which comes out on social media. That this can be reduced by this having this 24/7 chat. But beyond that, we have some other examples where we talk about this agentic automation, where you can have automated permit approvals, the routing services from a county, financial dashboards, having live data instead of building those Power BI dashboards and having this static information, which is connected to your live data, but these are still static. The moment you bring Copilot power to your Power BI and make it more live and make it more real-time updated large language model, which is behind the data, it just creates so much more, gives you much more meaningful insights. That being said, I'll give you a quick demo on that as we talk about public sector website. But this is how I created that agent. It's pretty straightforward. You could do like in less than 2 minutes, the agent gets created. Yeah, so this is a quick video on that. Here the agent is getting created. You are putting a specific website as an agent, as a knowledge source to it. And yeah, while this is happening, any questions, please feel free to chat, or if you raise hand, I could enable the mic and we can have some conversation. But yeah, in this case, it is getting connected with Redmond, and this is a recorded video. So, and as soon as it is connected, you will see that you could have this conversation with this agent and ask for a specific information from the website, and it shows up right away. And as you saw, like this is a little fast paced, but it's still these knowledge agents are so pretty straightforward to create, and it just you have to have this Microsoft Purview in place and have all the governance in place to establish and bring these agents to production. And here I ask if you give me a life council member, and then and if you ask the same questions on the Redmond website, you will see the result, which is very different than what we saw with the agent being responding, because of this traditional way of doing Google-based keyword search. So now you're asking a specific question, but then Google is and this search result is based on a Google Enterprise version, which would give you the specific information from the keyword, whatever the keyword were there in the question. Next. So how we are simplifying the permitting application and the approval. This is where we talk about more of autonomous agent. So in this case, this is where we are doing this building and construction permit. It's Microsoft React application based out of Azure, hosted on a GovCloud. And here we have autonomous agent, which is connected with the state compliance as well as with township audience. So while you are submitting this permit application, you are selecting the type of property, you building this, what is the application type, building code, safety, all those different attributes you're adding into it. Is it is it preoccupied? Is it empty? Is it a vacant building? And all that information. Behind the scenes, autonomous agent, which is working to ensure that all the information which you are entering is as per the guideline. Or if there is any compliance problem which could happen, or for example, if you want to do if this specific contractor is a registered contractor with the town or not. So things of that nature is happening behind the scenes where the agent is being involved. And as this passes through, you start adding the building code, electric ECC information, plumbing, fire protection, safety. All this information is coming, which is required by state to ensure that all of this construction applications have this information. Now, while you are submitting this, agent is working quietly behind the scenes, and you will see in a few seconds here that how this agent is performing a task where in a typical environment, once you submit this, the code will be written such that if this, then do this. And that is a traditional way of what we do as a software engineer. And now in this, when we have built this application with AI first mindset, we have kept this agent, which is doing the compliance review. Instead of this application, as soon as you submit, goes to a traditional workflow, and somebody in the town, borough administrator, building official will review it and approve it, or send it to county commissioners or planning commissioners. Instead of that, it is actually being validated by an agent from a compliance perspective. So here all the forms are being submitted, and vendor has submitted this form, and it signature is being done. Now the payment would happen. This is a review of all the form information. Once this is updated, you do all the disclaimers, TNCs are checked. You go to the next level where the payment cycle will go in. So the reason for this example is that how these agents can actually get integrated with your existing application process. It's still in a digital form, and build this efficiency around the entire permitting process. So now here it proceeds to the payment. So the payment gets through. Once the payment happens, once payment is successful, then the AI agent will kick in to review the entire application, check if something similar has happened in the town in last 4, 5, 10 years, whatever data you have provided to the agent, and if this block and lot is safe to perform this build out, if there is any variance change to be figured out, or does anything changed in state compliance since this application was submitted, or the previous application which was approved or rejected. And then this compliance agent will work and provide a semi approval already for this compliance, where you could then when planning commissioner goes in, they will already see that this is being this everything looks good, and it is form is complete and the compliance is checked. So this is one example of when you see at the top also, when now this is happening, this is not a manual person. This is like where a robotic process automation is kicking in and the agent is behaving. We're checking this as a human, that what is being done, what is not being done. And now it's in review L1, but here the issue in the condition of approval is already been highlighted, what the issue is being found out. And this is where now AI agent will report back to planning commissioner that this require additional information. And as per the state audience of this and this number. That was one. I will jump on another, anomaly detection. So this is another POC application which we built from a Civic Agent standpoint. And what is happening here is that here the county government has multiple line items going in the finance system, and there is an agent which is working behind the scenes, where you as and when you enter these line items, this agent continuously monitor to see how this data is flowing in the finance system. In this case, they use MSI, for example. It's a municipal system, and this MSI this system is a financial entry system, and as soon as the financial analysts start entering it based on the line items, for example, there is it's for a car lease expense, so police car lease expense. So historically, this expense has not been at that mark, meaning you have paid monthly $10,000, never been that $100,000 expense. But here there is a transaction which you have posted, which crosses the threshold. So now this agent is highlighting that this seems to be high amount. This seems to be round amount, and there are about 43 flag transactions, and there is a anomaly rate of 6.1%. So this is essentially a surveillance system. It's an agent which is providing surveillance to the financial data and highlighting the transactions which doesn't seem right. For based on the rules and regulations being set up for this agent. So in this case, there is a high amount, there is a round amount, and now you could actually highlight that, okay, no, this looks good. So what Laura has entered is the correct expense. So now going forward, this agent would know that I do not have to flag this expense. This line item looks correct. So not just that, this agent is doing a surveillance, but also providing you a proactive uh, before it goes to the auditors, it providing you proactive information that these are some wrong or anomalies in the system, but also learning. So now when I say that this line item 337965 is correct because this is a higher expense now, and going forward, we perhaps be paying this much amount. So then it learns from that and then goes back to the system and updates it. So now next day, next month, when this similar expense happens, this agent knows that this is the correct amount. So and then when it highlights, it creates an email. Now it has few of these where we can now highlight if it is an anomaly report, it's a surveillance report, but now these are the high transaction, this is medium, this is low. So you, based on the criticality of the transaction, you could actually train the agent. And now to talk to this agent, so for example, in this case, you will see that this agent is, let's say, finance agent, and you will just send an email to finance agent that going forward, whenever you see an expense from this law from a Laura coming up for this line item, always approve. So you can actually have a conversation over the email or Microsoft Teams. You could actually have this agent part of your Microsoft Teams, and then you can interact. So the topics, the knowledge which you are sharing instead of on Copilot Studio, now you are doing that over the Teams. And this agent will become part of your Teams friend group. Any questions, anything so far? So in United States, the National Association of Counties have released this roadmap for all the use cases what county government should be doing, meaning build a strategy for management, how to identify, conduct assessments in the different groups, choosing the key vendors, conduct the proof of concepts. And we are seeing more and more this where we are starting with some pilots, some concepts to ensure that the basic functionality is working and then taking it to the production. And then when during this cycle, we are measuring the impact. And Microsoft has come out with these knowledge agents in Copilot that is very, very beneficial to do these kind of quick wins where you can actually transform some of those use cases. But again, this is not something which is just being talked about. There is a lot of implementation going on a county level, in a local government, and a state level. These are the high 5 level use cases or categories which we are seeing in terms of government efficiency for operational workflows, which I shared some of these. Public service and resident engagement. This is very impactful where you can now have 24/7 chat agents working for you. Emergency resource planning, there is a lot going on in that, from road maintenance to the resource planning to emergency route build out, population planning from a new construction, land use, as well as for cybersecurity and data privacy. These are some of the agents, some of the use cases. I will quickly go to the 5P framework, which I think might be helpful here. Yeah. So how Civic Agent works, we saw some examples today. We saw how a chat could work, how agentic AI, how these autonomous agents could work. But the whole purpose is here that now we are not just generating content. We are not just creating memos and the what to release as a press notes from this AI agents, but we are actually started to perform some meaningful impact to building these agentic agents. Framework which we use, the quick note on the 5P framework, we call it, and this is the framework which has been very efficient and worked for us. Purpose, you define the purpose first and foremost, where you will build, identify the use case. Is in this case is a permit, is a citizen communication. Then you define the pilot, which is where you do sufficient to purpose a small POC, small pilot application, which does the meaningful work for you. We do not have to overwhelm and build entire automation in one day. We do not have to find the problem to build and bring AI into it. We have to work from an AI mindset where what Copilot could do to make this particular process more efficient. when we do this pilot, it could be with a limited set of group. It could be one single department, and then you can scale. But while you are working upon a pilot, you should start thinking about a playbook. The playbook should have all the content required to scale these pilots, which is sitting in the Copilot Studio, to make it to production, bring it to Azure AI Foundry, connect with the larger data sets. But starting with small and with a small pilot would always help. While you're building the playbook, the security and governance is very important. Building, removing biasness from the AI, making sure the responsible AI, some ethical practices being used, which is where I would recommend joining this Gov AI coalition based out of city of San Jose. Before this. So we have this coalition which we formed 2 years ago. They have a lot of best practices for the governance and how you can build these AI agents for civic society. Production, once the playbook is formed, the next step, the next fourth P of my 5P framework calls about production, how you deploy into production. It could be Azure AI Foundry. You can use now in some of the talks today, we saw how multi-model can be used in AI, Azure AI Foundry, how these Azure AI Foundry agents can be deployed and scaled. I think that's when the time comes where you can expand it to production. Last but not least, and this is where the key difference is from a traditional application development or providing these workflow-driven traditional applications to AI agents, where the true work of AI agents begin once it is in production, meaning now you are there where you have to train this model more, you have to define and measure the performance, you have to build how these agents can perform better, and follow the same cycle again. Once this first pilot goes through, you again come back to the board to start with the purpose. And this cycle will ensure that this civic agents, when they go live and interact with the real users, in this case, constituents, businesses, us, it behaves and it reacts in a very ethical and governed way. That being said, we are top of the hour here. Quick, big wins. We to the most part, we all know time saved, errors reduced, agents are trained once, transparency improved, visibility and transparency is what all government thrive for, and employee morale up, because now in the less amount of time you can achieve more. Bad data is equal to bad automation. That's always been the case. So we have to definitely clean up the data. I get a lot of these questions that how can I ensure that my website is ready for these kind of chatbots because my data is stale. Yes, the data is stale, then the information will come out stale. Don't oversell the bot. This is not that one short solution for everything. We have to break it meaningfully. You have to define the purpose and then build the whole roadmap on top of it. Governance and compliance is utmost required. AI could do a lot of things, and the first slide I talked about that, is it a existential opportunity or it is existential or exponential opportunity? So we have to ensure that we consider governance on top. Running out of time, but quickly jump on the what AI should do and share should not. As I said, be explainable, make sure there's a reasoning to all the information, following ethical rules, ensuring there is a improved public services, not really overwhelming the agent and not really overwhelming the citizen at the same point. Protecting the privacy and ensuring that we stay transparent, how you're getting this data, where are you storing this data, and regular audits. On the other hand, be opaque, bringing this biased data, residing without approval. These are something where it can be easily avoided by keeping human in loop. So just consider these civic agents to be part of a digital team where you still have to supervise them. Yeah, so I quickly jump on the last slide here. Yeah, please. So please scan this QR code and trust me, it's all secure. And yeah, parade your feedback. It would be good to get some information and which will help us improve. And last, yeah, if you would like to connect and know more how Tech4Gov is shaping up local government, please feel free to connect me on LinkedIn.